You've been here before, staring at the same screen. The time we spend before we start working. There are 1,440 hours in a school year. The average public school teacher in an OECD country spends 791.5 of those teaching. That's 54.9% of their workday. That leaves half of their time for planning, grading, feedback, collaboration, professional learning, parent communication, general administration, coverage, and differentiating and personalizing instruction. How much of that time is effective? How much of that work is done after hours? How much time do you have to think, to be your best? We can't give you more time, but we can better use the time we have. Take back creativity. Liberate your time with Eduaide.ai.
Well, hello, everybody. I hope you all got a good giggle out of my little face popping up. I've never, this was my first time actually starting a stream. That's not true. I did with my own summit, but yeah, Amanda will be here soon, but I wanted to say hello and welcome to day 5. Can you believe it? Can you believe it's been 5 days? This is amazing. Please tell us who you are, where you're coming from around this beautiful planet. And we'd love to say hello and give you a shout out. I'm very excited about tonight. We have once again a wonderful lineup. I mean, it's so good. And oh, look at that. We have Teacher Goals. Welcome everyone from Teacher Goals. Tanya's in the house. Thank you. Hola, Tanya. We love you. Excellent. Wonder if anybody else has come home from their day yet. I'm sure they will be here soon. Oh, awesome. Angela's back. Yay. And Miss Bonnie, who we will be hearing from very soon. Thank you, John Wick. John Wick is here. John, come on, call in. Why don't you join me? Aw, thanks, Tanya. Okay, wonderful. Oh, from Saudi Arabia. This is incredible how global this has been. It just warms my heart so much, how much knowledge and everything that has happened this week. This is the replays of this have to be seen. This is just, I've learned so much. I'm presenting tomorrow and I have even there she is. I'm presenting tomorrow and I have even added to my presentation from all the learning. And here is Miss Amanda Fox. And she can go for it.
Hello. We have had technical difficulties today. And we have Thomas Thompson, the amazing co-founder of Eduaide. And we're super excited to announce that they are a sponsor of, the Week of AI. And he's going to give an amazing presentation on Eduaide and show you everything about what it does and how it can help you reduce teacher workload.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Thomas. I'm a middle school social studies teacher in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. I see we have Joyce from DC just up the street from you. Today I'd like to talk to you about AI-assisted lesson development. And I do emphasize the word assisted because AI is becoming more and more, it's a ubiquitous technology. It's going to be all around us. It's pervasive. And we must approach it with clear goals and principles. And we at Eduaide believe in a co-pilot design. That is, while the large language model, the AI, is great at doing this broad-based stuff, pulling together tons of resources, filtering and compressing massive amounts of information, it doesn't understand the minutia of your classroom. In that domain, you're the expert. So we really strive to give teachers granular control over every little thing that Eduaide does. And to that end, I'd like to show you a bit of our site. So right here is of course, our homepage. Again, AI-assisted lesson development. And the reason I start on the homepage is I want to scroll down right here because I think this really summarizes our whole ethos. We believe in this 3-step process: source it, shape it, share it. The idea is that you source you leverage the power of large language models through a curated prompting system to turn your words, your ideas, into the basis for effective and flexible educational resources. And that's the first step. We don't want to just stop there where a teacher gets something and then they just copy and paste it and use it because, well, there's a lot more to planning than that. And that's the shape it part of the process, where we use our suite of personalization features to differentiate and adapt educational resources to fit our unique contexts. We can adjust the text's lexile level right on our page. You can translate materials, extract keyword glossaries, and much, much more. And then finally is share it, whether it's sharing it with your students, sharing it with colleagues, and sharing it with a community of practice, which is soon to come on our site, where you'll be able to reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute a broad range of free and open educational resources. But with that, I think we can jump right in. So we'll launch our workspace, and this is where you would do your work. So I'm a middle school social studies teacher, so I think this demo is going to kind of focus in that realm. But when you launch the platform, you come to the teaching assistant. This is where you can do a lot of broad based activities that apply to teachers regardless of content area. And we will descend into the particulars. So we'll start very broad with like a unit plan, and then we'll get more and more specific and show off more and more features. So let me do that. And here we are. So unit plan. I teach US history. So let's talk about foundational documents in the creation of the United States. We hit add to workspace, and what we will have is a unit plan that addresses this topic here. Now, the idea of the unit plan is not that it's going to write out a full curriculum document for you, but rather it's going to provide you with just some broad ideas on maybe structure, on some of the things you would want to hit if this is what you're covering. And as someone who teaches this very thing, it does a nice job of hitting all of the major topics, from an introduction of 1 to 2 days that kind of gives the context, which is an incredibly important word you're going to hear in a lot of social studies instruction. Context, context, context. We'll move into the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, and then a cross comparison of the documents, looking at similarities and differences, values and principles. And then it ends with some application and analysis activities, analyzing current events and issues through the lens of the Declaration and the Constitution. So this is a nice start. I'm pretty happy with this, and I would then save it into my workspace as foundational documents, unit structure, and oops, there we are. I'll save that, and you'll see it pops up here, content successfully saved. It'll go over into my folder here. And that's a misconception I did want to address. I saw a few reviews of the platform that said you weren't able to save it because you didn't have a paid subscription. Eduaide is completely and totally free. It just won't let you save a document unless there is a title. Because if you try to save it and you have a bunch of untitled content, it'll be really hard to tell it all apart. So we want to just make sure that all content that goes in your folder is in fact saved, is in fact titled. So, all right, I'm going to look at this foundational document unit structure, and I'm looking at it in the preview mode, and I see, okay, Federalist Papers lesson. That seems pretty interesting. So let me dive a little bit deeper. Let me go with a lesson plan directly on the Federalist Papers. So it gives me an objective, and then it's going to lay out a range of options. The idea here is not that it's going to give you, again, a full written lesson plan. That's not our aim at Eduaide. Our aim is to give teachers granular control to go in and change and shape and pick and revise and remix and stack and flip and kind of have total control over what goes into their classroom. I never want a teacher to feel as though their hands are tied while using this platform. I mean, it goes right into our workspace, which is your traditional Word document kind of deal, where you have the total freedom to go in and format, everything. So as it's generating, I'll highlight the major areas that will always be included in our lesson seeds. Our objective, our cue sets. These are ways that you can start a class. There's 3 various ones: a visual cue, displaying a map and asking students to look at some of the original colonies, jumping into modern day, Federalist Papers, right? Essentially looking at a contemporary issue in the American government using the principles and language of the original documents. some student essays, some creative projects, some research projects, a range of options, assignments, and activities for teachers to choose and look at. Now, I'll title this Federalist Papers Lesson Plan. Save it to my content folder. And now I have this, and it's like, okay, so there's some ideas here. I need to go about making the lesson. And that's where you would leave the teaching assistant and jump into the content generator. But before we do that, I'd like to highlight just a few of the features we have in the content generator. Yes, Christy Thompson, totally free. You heard me correct. And Erica, great. Yes, sub plans, easy peasy. That's definitely tailored towards maybe first year teachers who don't quite maybe have their templates in place and their ways of doing things. Just again, as a brainstorming buddy, as a way to bounce ideas around. But on the teaching assistant, of course, the lesson seed, unit plan, making announcements that can go directly to your LMS, emails home, tactful outlines, because yes, I understand that you as the teacher will want to write that email home to the parent, but on a Thursday after a long week, I totally get it. It's a Thursday for me. It's been a long week. I might not be as I might not put things as gently as I'd like to, or maybe I'll sound a little snippier than I wanted to. So I can take this and kind of get an outline and hit the key points and look at some of the language that it uses. Substitute planning. And then these three are new. They were at the suggestion of a special educator that I co-teach a couple of my classes with. Accommodations list, coming up with a list of accommodations for students with a specific need or disability. An evidence-based intervention list, and that will actually give you citations, text to the evidence that backs that intervention. You can go in and read it yourself, educate yourself on it more, because we don't want you to stop at Eduaide. We want you to go further and explore more and more. IEP outlines, and then under the productivity tab, we have templates, credible source lists, various ranked lists, like nation by GDP, for example, anchor charts, and let's take a look at that. So I know I'm going to be teaching about the Federalist Papers, and maybe I want to hang up some sort of poster in the room to give students the big ideas. This will generate the text of an anchor chart on the Federalist Papers. Right now I have it for upper class. I should have changed that. I do teach middle school, but regardless, it'll give us some of the big ideas here: an introduction, the purpose, the structure, right? The Federalist Papers consist of 85 essays and were originally published in newspapers under the pseudonym Publius. They're organized into 8 different sections, and then it covers some of the main ideas. But let me show you how this changes from grade level to grade level. This is what it would look like for the upper class. Let me jump down and try the exact same thing, but for my middle level students. And you know what? I'll keep this in the workspace so we can compare. Now we have a title, and then this frames it as kind of a Q&A. Much shorter sentences, quicker, concise, kind of to the level of the student. Title: the Federalist Papers. What are they? Why were they written? What are some of the key ideas? Separation of powers, checks and balances, federalism. And as I understand, not all of us will be social studies teachers. I have a copy right here, and we're going to do some live fact checking on the next section here, because I'm not sure exactly what exact Federalist paper I'm going to make a primary source analysis on, but we'll fact check it together. So that's a little, you can play with the anchor chart here. And maybe I want to make my anchor charts more accessible for my classroom. And this is a feature I really like. This is the part of the shape it. I can highlight, let's go just to the middle school level. I can highlight this anchor chart here. And if I right click, it gives me some more tools. We can extract keywords right from this anchor chart. And if I do that, right, it'll give me a keyword glossary that I can then share with my students. I can scale the Lexile level up and down, so I can make the reading level more difficult or a little less difficult depending on the level of my students in the class. I can translate it right in the workspace. So this anchor chart, maybe I want to have a Spanish version. So I'm going to get rid of these keywords here. I don't want to clog up the workspace. I want your eyes, your attention to go to the right places. So translate to Spanish. And there we are. So now we have this exact anchor chart, but we have a Spanish version directly below it. And again, the idea is, sure, you can hop in and do this in Google Translate. You can jump to ChatGPT and do some similar things, but the idea is that you have a single platform. I don't like to have 1.5 billion tabs open. This kind of saves me all of those extra tabs. I can now have a single workspace, keep all of my work in one place, and do everything in a singular location. So let's reset the workspace and let's jump to our content generator. The content generator is where we get more subject specific. So here we have science, social studies, mathematics, language art, and enrichment. Our enrichment will address some other classes like arts, maybe PE, STEM project, school improvement projects. I used to run my school student council, so having a way to go about maybe with a school beautification project or any kind of thing that addresses a specific need area that the students can take ownership of their building, I think is vitally important. Now, let's go to middle school. And let's really put this thing to the test. Let's go a reading comprehension primary source analysis. And we're going to look at, let's say, the Federalist paper. Again, let's go to the glossary here. This is my Great Books edition of the Federalist Papers and John Stuart Mill and the American State Papers. Let me take a look at the contents here. We'll go the Federalist number 51 on the structure of the government and checks and balances. So let's plug that in. The Federalist paper number 51. Add to workspace. And here is a reading comprehension primary source article with a few questions. So the Federalist Papers were a series of essays written by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay that were published between 1787 and 1788. These essays were written to convince the American people to ratify the United States Constitution. One of the most important papers in the series is the Federalist Paper number 51, which discusses the importance of protecting individual rights in a democratic society. So it gives the student a little context, and then we get into the actual quotation. In Federalist Paper number 51, James Madison argues that the government must be designed in a way that protects individual rights. He writes, quote, "In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men." Of course, this is dated text from 1788. "The great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself." All right. I'm pretty happy with this primary source. Again, more context at the end, a few more quotes throughout, and it gives me a range of questions. These questions address reading comprehension. But maybe I want more. Maybe I want to do something else with this text. Maybe I feel like these questions just don't cut it for what I want my students to do. No issue. I can get rid of the questions. I can open up the question tab, and then I have a range of options here. And maybe I wanted to address the specific text. Well, that's easy enough. You can just copy the text, paste it right in to the topic bar. And to that note, you can also paste in more than just keywords. You can do standards, you can do objectives, and it'll create standard and objective lined assignments. But let me add the text to the workspace and let's go to multiple choice questions. It'll create 5 specific questions. And these are going to address more of the understanding level of Bloom's taxonomy. But what we have here is who were the authors? When were they published? What was their purpose? Then going directly into the text, finding an argument that one of the authors make. And then again, going to James Madison, what's another argument that he makes? What is the key to protecting individual rights? Dividing the government into 3 branches with a system of checks and balances. Again, I'm feeling pretty good about these questions, but again, maybe I need more. I want something more beyond the understanding level on the taxonomy. Well, that's fine. I can go to extension questions, plug in the fact that I'm talking about the Federalist Paper number 51. And I can hit add to class, add to workspace. And it'll give me a range of scenarios where students are attacking that deeper level of understanding. Imagine that you are a member of the Constitutional Convention in 1787. You're tasked with explaining the importance of checks and balances to a group of fellow delegates who are skeptical of this idea. How would you use the ideas presented in the Federalist number 51 to convince them? So it's asking students to apply their learning into a very specific kind of role-playing scenario. More than that, we can also look at the Federalist number 51 and ask some source analysis questions. Source analysis is a crucial skill in historical instruction. We want students to be able to not only passively repeat facts and things like that, but we want students to engage with the sources, be critical of their sources. And I think that's very crucial in our current age. Students be critical analyzers of the information that they are consuming. And here we are. So some basic things, right? Who are the authors? But what is the main argument? How does the Federalist Paper number 51 address the issue of tyranny? What is the role of the judicial branch according to the Federalist number 51? Asking students to go in and find specific textual examples to back up their source analysis. So I'm pretty happy with these things so far. Now we can go broader. There's many more prompts that we have. We have lists. We have a game-based instruction. We have demonstrations, increasing the quality of direct instruction to help explain content to your students through a specific demonstration of the topic. And we have other, of course, areas as well. We have science with labs and materials, reading comprehension, models, mock studies, essay outlines, taxonomy, scaffolding. That's another area. Let's go to that. I'm excited to show this off. Tracking students' progress towards mastery with a hierarchy of essential questions that are mapped on Bloom's taxonomy. Again, I've been looking at the foundational documents in the creation of the United States. Let's see what this hierarchy questions would look like. So at the knowledge level, the base understanding level would be questions like, what were the foundational documents in the United States? When were they written? Who were the founding fathers, et cetera, et cetera. But then we can go a little bit deeper, right? Can you explain the purpose of the Declaration or describe the difference between the Articles of the Confederation and the Constitution? And these are all essential questions that I would definitely use in my classroom. I've asked questions like this before I even went about using Eduaide in the classroom. How do the foundational documents contribute to the ongoing development of the United States as a nation? Again, this is important. Any history teacher will tell you it's all about making connections, enabling students to connect their learning to their present context, giving it some salience, giving them some level of awareness that you're not living outside of history, but in fact living in it, right? And these are some crucial ideas in the field. Now we can jump over to mathematics. For example, if we have any math teachers in the house, I would happily take some suggestions on assignments with mistakes, real world explanations, examples. If any of you have a topic you'd like me to generate with our last few minutes or have any questions, I'd be happy to address those as well. I don't want you to think this is a pre-scripted demo. I want you to see this thing in action. But that said, I'd like to just address a few things at first while we're waiting on some comments here. The idea behind Eduaide is that teachers understand their classrooms, that teachers are the experts in the domain of the classroom. Therefore, while the AI is great at providing them with filtering and compressing of massive amounts of information, the teacher is the expert in the classroom. They know the unique needs of the students. They know their unique context better than an AI could. Therefore, we give teachers the flexibility and tools to make these lessons their own and to shape these lessons to fit their unique experience. In the third column, which is our community page, that is to come very soon, but this will be a place where teachers are able to share the resources they have generated with one another and maybe take a resource that one teacher generated that addresses a specific context that is like theirs, and then personalize it even further. Maybe one teacher made a team-based activity on the water cycle, and another teacher remixes that to better fit a model of the water cycle, right? So if you take the set of numbers, set prime plus 1, all right. So we can look at so teaching students about whole numbers. Again, I'm not a math teacher. I might be butchering this, but let's go mathematics. Let's go. First, we'll go to real world examples, perhaps. Real world example. Let me try something else. Slope intercept real quick. Slope intercept real world example. Suppose you're a real estate agent working for a housing development company. You are tasked with pricing a new set of homes that are currently under construction. The starting price of the homes is $250,000, and for each additional bedroom added, the price increases by $20,000. Write an equation in slope-intercept form to represent the price of the home as a function of the number of bedrooms. Question: what is the price of a 4-bedroom home? So it's showing students, again, some practical applications of a mathematical concept at work. That's the number one question I asked when I was in math class. I would always be skeptical, turn to my math teacher and say, when am I ever going to use this? Well, this is a question you no longer have to fumble over, right? You have some perfect examples you can throw right in front of your student. Well, you would use it if you're a financial analyst working for a tech company, or if you are a real estate agent working for a housing development company, right? Some real world job-based scenarios and situations. I do understand that they have another session at 6 o'clock. We did get a bit of a late start. I don't want to take up too much time. Oh, sorry, you're muted. What was that?
I said, you think I'd learn by now. I said, don't worry about that. She can start the other session simultaneously. So finish up. This is fascinating.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a couple more minutes. And again, if you have any questions, those of you who are watching or would like me to create anything based on your suggestions, I'd be happy to do that to kind of show this off a little bit more.
Here, someone said metrics.
Metrics. Okay. Let's go metrics. Yes, I think real world examples does allow that why question, right? Kind of jumping in a little bit further. Okay. Sorry, I was reading the comments there.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Too.
So let's go mathematics, metrics. Let's go multiple choice questions and see what we get here. No, not wow numbers. Metrics. There we go. Which of the following is a commonly used metric for okay, so C, I think metrics might be a bit broad. Yeah. What exactly are we asking when we're asking about metrics, right? Are we talking about metrics of measurement? Because this is like a metric of measuring, say, students' academic potential for success at colleges, right? In more education-focused topic. We could jump into over here in the language arts section. We can take a look at like reading comprehension activities, team-based activities, an essay review, generate an example essay for students to review or grade with a rubric, poems, right? A wholly original poem to illustrate a specific theme, right? I really fought over including this note here. Use this as a supplement to the existing canon, not a replacement, right? We want teachers to use what is currently available to them, right? I don't want you to replace Walt Whitman with an AI generated poem. I don't think that would be doing it justice, but maybe you want to really illustrate a specific theme or idea very clearly for students at, say, the middle level. I think this would be a useful tool for doing that. Book summaries, right? This is giving students a precise summary to guide maybe note taking for social study. Yes. Oh, there we are.
Someone called it a one-stop shop. It's so true, and it's all in one area and saved there. And I couldn't stop playing today.
But we would say it doesn't have to be, right? If you want to go to GPT and say, take something that was generated here and create a rubric out of it, you should. If you want to hop over and use some of the stuff as the basis for a slide deck, use CurioPod or whatever it might be, totally go for it. The more tools out there, the better. The more tools that we can give to a teacher to better their practice, I think is great. And I think, yeah, and I totally think that competition in this regard would be great. It's only going to make all of these platforms and products out there much better. Exactly. I mean, the best will float to the top for sure.
hashtag better together, and
Mhm.
that's what's so beautiful about all these companies starting to integrate with each other too. But yeah, Fast and Furious, and it's just make them all better. But this is such a beautiful platform. I love that you have this SEL and the mindfulness piece in there.
Yes.
That was so cool. Yeah.
That came about, we were doing I was doing a lesson on Zen Buddhism, doing world history,
Oh wow.
and I was like, "Well, I wanted my students to do a guided meditation."
Yeah.
So, for example, we did like a mindfulness activity on Zazen, which is again, a specific form of meditation, from Zen Buddhism, and you could do Zazen meditation, specifically focusing on the type of meditation that originated in Japanese Zen.
So cool.
Observing thoughts without judgment helps you calm your mind, reduce stress, increase focus, right? It's giving the teacher the context that they can present to the student, and then the directions, the script that they can actually read to do the mindfulness activity. And we have like a little outdoor classroom, and we went to the outdoor classroom. I read the
Nice.
script, and it went really well. The kids really enjoyed it, and
That's
I got
incredible.
to have like a very personal moment with my students that I wouldn't have otherwise had, and all thanks to what we created here.
All thanks to that. And I teach yoga, so you have my heart on that. And
Oh,
I actually created these breathing bubbles that are personalized, where kids put a picture of their cat or something in the center of their bubble. But today or actually this week, I was playing with this, and it was giving me everything I needed to do the part of these bubbles, is the introduction and all the parts that I don't enjoy the writing part. I just want to share. And so thank you for that. And the fact that it had the mindfulness in there, I was like, this is amazing for everything. And I wrote my substitute plans. So I was very happy about that.
well,
But
we're happy to help.
oh,
Well,
good.
thank you very much, though, for all
Oh,
of these
thank you.
wonderful comments and for having us on. We've really
Yeah.
enjoyed the last week, the MIT panel, and I've been watching along with all of you. There's been
Oh, yeah.
some great speakers. So I watched the one with Alfonso yesterday. He's terrific. We did his podcast, My EdTech Life. Great guy. There's just a great community around this event. So again, thank you for having us on, and
Oh, thank
thank
you.
you all for sharing in the comment section. I really appreciate that.
Oh my
If you
goodness.
have any
Go
suggestions
ahead.
or
You haven't read
things
all these. I'm
if you
sorry.
have
Go
any suggestions or things you would like us to add, we have a feedback option on Eduade, and we really do take that seriously. It's not a kind of thing where it's like, hey, give us feedback and you won't see it. If we get some feedback, we try to be as responsive to it as quick as possible. We've had a turnover rate where, my teaching assistant, my co-teacher,
ahead.
talked about, hey, do you don't have any special ed options here? We had that up within a week. We try to be as responsive to teachers' needs. So yeah, join our community, and we'll try to make the best possible tool for you that we can.
Oh, and Amanda said that too, of just working in Fonz, just working with you has been incredible. So I'm looking forward to working with you more too, because your platform's awesome.
Well,
So
thank you.
thank you so much. That was riveting. That was awesome. And I know it's going to be watched a lot. So everybody, we are going to, I think Amanda probably already started it. We're going to head over and see Miss Bonnie. Bonnie Neves is a very dear friend and a great PLN partner in crime for all of us. And we will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm going to do this. I'm going to play your other video because it's so cool. Bye. Eduade, an AI-assisted lesson development. We offer teachers a set of tools to express their creativity, cultivate their expertise, and align planning with what works for their students. We provide infrastructure for a new way of sourcing educational resources. There are over 20 resource types to choose from for a variety of subjects. It acts as a teaching assistant to improve your productivity on time-consuming tasks. And it also is personalized to meet the needs of diverse learners. Eduade is a transparent and principled means to integrate an AI assistant into your lesson planning workflow.